Top 10 cities white Americans quietly abandoned. In the early 1900s, some U.S. cities were full of hope, money, and growing neighborhoods. But today, many of those same places are almost forgotten. Big houses sit empty, stores are closed, streets are quiet. What happened? One big reason is that white Americans slowly moved away. Not suddenly, but year by year they left. These cities didn't just lose people, they lost jobs, schools, and safety. And even though these cities still have life, they are not what they used to be. You'll be surprised to see which cities made this list and the reasons behind it. 1. Detroit, Michigan. Detroit was once one of the richest cities in America. In the 1950s, it was known as the Motor City because big car companies like Ford and General Motors were based there. But when car factories started moving to other places, jobs disappeared. White families started moving to the suburbs. This left behind poor neighborhoods with fewer jobs and schools that struggled. By the 2000s, many parts of Detroit looked abandoned. Today, you can still see empty buildings and broken homes, but you'll also find people trying to bring the city back. 2. Gary, Indiana. Gary was once a booming steel city. In the 1960s, it had over 170,000 people, most of them white. But as the steel mills started closing, people lost their jobs. White families began moving out fast. Now, Gary has less than 70,000 people, and many buildings are left to rot. Some streets look like ghost towns. Old schools and homes sit empty, taken over by nature. But even in the silence, some people still call it home and work to keep it alive. Gary is a reminder of what happens when a city is built on one thing, and that thing disappears. 3. Camden, New Jersey. Camden is just across the river from Philadelphia. In the 1940s and 50s, it had factories, shipyards, and a strong white middle class. But in the 1970s, jobs started disappearing. Companies closed down or moved away. Crime went up. White families started to leave in large numbers. Today, Camden is mostly made up of Black and Latino residents. The city has one of the highest poverty rates in the country. Yet, some areas are slowly being rebuilt. Still, the scars of the past are easy to see on almost every block. 4th East Street, Louis, Illinois. Back in the early 1900s, East St. Louis was a busy industrial city with jobs in railroads and factories. But racial tension grew as black families moved in for work. After a deadly riot in 1917, the divide between races grew worse. Over the next few decades, many white residents left the city. By the 1980s, East St. Louis was one of the poorest cities in America. Today, many streets are lined with boarded-up homes and crumbling buildings, but its people still try to hold on to hope, even if the city feels forgotten. 5. Youngstown, Ohio. Youngstown was known for its steel production. It had good jobs and strong communities. In the 1950s, it was a mostly white city full of life. But when the steel industry crashed in the 1970s, so did the city. White families began to leave, heading to places with more work and less crime. Now, many parts of Youngstown are quiet and empty. Schools have closed, churches have shut their doors, and yet some people are staying behind, hoping that one day Youngstown will rise again. 6. Flint, Michigan. Flint was once a proud car-making city, just like Detroit. It had thousands of good jobs, and most of the population was white. But when General Motors closed its plants in the 1980s, everything changed. White families moved away to find better opportunities. As they left, crime went up, and businesses shut down. Things got even worse in 2014. when Flint's water became poisoned with lead. The city became a symbol of failure. Many homes are still empty, and whole neighborhoods feel lost in time. Flint is still fighting to recover, but the damage runs deep. 7. Newark, New Jersey. Newark was once a strong industrial city full of factories and jobs. In the 1950s, it had many white families living in tidy neighborhoods. But when industries began to shut down, tensions between races grew. After the deadly riots in 1967, many white residents quickly moved out. They left behind broken neighborhoods, rising crime, and poverty. Today, Newark is mostly Black and Latino. Some parts are slowly getting better, with new buildings and parks. But many people still remember the time when white flight changed the city forever. 8. Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland had it all in the early 1900s. Factories, good jobs, music, and a strong white middle class. But like many other cities in the Rust Belt, Cleveland lost jobs when companies moved away or closed down. In the 1960s and 70s, more and more white families left the city for the suburbs. This changed the city almost overnight. Homes were abandoned, schools were shut, and crime grew. Even though downtown Cleveland has seen some recovery, many neighborhoods are still struggling to come back from decades of loss. 9. Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham used to be called the Magic City because it grew so fast in the early 1900s. It had coal, iron, and steel, and lots of jobs. For years, it was a mostly white city. But the civil rights movement in the 1960s changed things. As Black Americans fought for their rights, many white families left the city and moved to the suburbs. Some didn't want to live in a mixed community. The city lost money, businesses, and good schools. Today, Birmingham is still trying to shake off that past. It's rebuilding, but the change is slow. 10. Baltimore, Maryland. Baltimore was a major port city with a strong white working class. In the 1950s, it was full of row houses, local shops, and factory jobs. But when factories started shutting down, jobs disappeared. White families began leaving in the 1960s, and they kept leaving for decades. At the same time, redlining and unfair housing made it harder for Black families to move into better areas. Today, Baltimore is known for its crime and poverty in some neighborhoods. But it's also known for its people, who keep trying to fix what's broken, even after being left behind. These cities weren't just abandoned, they were changed forever. White flight left deep marks on schools, neighborhoods, and local economies. But the story doesn't end there. Many people who stayed behind are still fighting to rebuild, to heal, and to bring life back to the streets that others left behind. These places have history, struggle, and strength. They remind us that cities aren't just buildings, they're people. And even when a place is left behind, it's never truly empty.